He just revealed what we have all been waiting to hear as Top Habs insider Eric Engels reveals that the D situation in Montreal is coming to a head, and he would be shocked if one of a group of 3 players is not traded in the very near future. We have to dive into the names he mentioned, including Mike Matheson and Arber, Xhekaj, and how the D-core situation is shaping up to be a bit tumultuous heading up into this season. But not just that, today we got to talk Michael Hage, who puts on a 2-point performance in Team Canada Red versus Team White with this silky assist here, and also Nick Suzuki, Ivan Demidov, and Patrik Laine playing on the same line in a little 3v3 tournament, showing some chemistry that has some fans very intrigued at some interesting line combinations. A bunch of great stuff coming up on this episode of Habs Digest, and you know what, we'll start there, Jesse, and we'll show this picture. This was from the LSHL, and it's a bit of a fun tournament going around in Montreal right now, and in this recent game, there was Suzuki, Patrik Laine, Ivan Demidov, also Alex Carrier was there, Laurent Dauphin, and it was a really cool thing, but the standout was Nick Suzuki, Ivan Demidov, and Patrik Laine playing together. This little silky passing play here, and there have been other clips from practice and stuff, but this was the one that really had a lot of people talking. Look, I'm seeing people already say, Jesse, hey, Suzuki, Demidov, Patrik Laine would be a sick line. I think that's pushing it a bit far to say that would actually be a line this year. Again, we've talked about Suzuki, Caufield, Slaf, but one thing that this is reinforcing to me is that the pure skill and talent we have in our top 9 this year means that I think if Marty wants to, we can interchange a lot, and we can afford to run with a bunch of different interesting ideas at our forward positions.
And that's what's so great about the Montreal, when you're seeing chemistry not only within lines, but from players across lines. Like, that's when you know that the whole team is just really coming together right now. And again, the opportunities that's going to give Kent Hughes going forward here is just absolutely going to be unreal. As we see from the clips, like, Laine was feasting out there. He's having 2 amazing playmakers in both Demidov and our boy Suzuki, just kind of, setting them up all over the ice there. But again, it's like, I don't think it's going to change that first line. But again, it just really shows how all these players are going to play together at some points, different iterations. You'd have to think on the power play with some injuries coming in. There's that big question of, like, going into this next season, is it going to be Caufield or is it going to be Laine that's going to take the PP1? And it's like, some people are saying that Caufield was going to take it. I think Patrik Laine, like, might have heard that. He's like, okay, no, let me get in the rink. Nobody's taking my spot on the power play, because that's where I live and breathe. Like, that's his bread and butter, and he knows it. So nice to see Patrik Laine. He's making his audition right now for that PP1 with all the work that he's doing right now in the offseason. I love it. Like, it's even today, Josh, it was continuing where Patrik Laine was setting up Demidov again, where they're working on the one-timers together. Just so amazing that we have this group of young, skilled players, but that they're coming together and practicing and putting that work off the ice well before the season begins. Really just speaks to the amazing things that we have just brewing right now in Montreal.
And that's not to mention that we haven't seen a ton recently from Kirby, Dach, or Zach Bolduc, right? Like, and there's so many amazing stories heading into this season, and just seeing these guys do this is just one of the many. So let us know your thoughts on this down below and what's been going on in practice if you haven't seen it. There's a lot of fun dangles. Ivan Demidov was bullying a goalie, scoring on him every single time at the end of the most recent practice. But again, it's not just the current Habs, Jesse, that are doing a bunch of work. As we know, the World Junior Summer Showcase is going on right now, and the Habs have 4 guys featured with Atos Koivu, LJ Mooney, and 2 guys in Team Canada with Michael Hage and Owen Protz. And actually, as of the recording of this video, it's Team Canada versus Team Finland, with Michael Hage on the second line with Michael Misa and Cayden Lindstrom. So really talented second line, but hey, we might be talking about that tomorrow. But for now, Jesse, we just got to show the great skill Michael Hage put on in the Team Canada Red versus White game yesterday. He was also on the second line, picking up 2 points here. The goal in the first play, nice little tuck in tight, making sure he's keeping his eye on the puck, and then this little sick pass back door that goes in. Michael Hage again, second line there in the Red versus White. The top line was Sacha Boisvert, Berkeley, Kaiden, and Porter Martone. Again, some high draft picks, but you also got 2025 draftee Cole Reshney, you got Benjamin Kindell along with Hage. It's just really cool, Jesse, to see, like, not only is Hage here and, like, making a pretty good impact, like, this guy is pretty high up in the lineup, considering, like, again, tomorrow, like, the top line, or the game right now, I should say, top line has, like, McKenna on it, but you can see the number 1 center from under 20 White, and the number 2 center from under 20 White, and the number 2 center from under 20 Red. Those are the 3 guys playing on the line, and Michael Hage is one of them today. I'm loving what I'm seeing from every single Habs prospect so far at this showcase.
Yeah, they're all showing up, whether it's Mooney, obviously Koivu, or a boy Hage here. I love to see him going to the net, and obviously he's setting the things up here. It really speaks to the potential, though, that Hage has. The fact that he's centering a line, our potential future 2Cs playing 2C for Team Canada, centering two guys that were selected in the top 5 in Kaiden Lindstrom and Michael Misa. So again, speaking about, like, did we get a little bit of a draft steal here with Michael Hage? Because I mean, all signs, Josh, right now are showing that he's that difference maker that I think Team Canada probably needed last year. I think probably having a Gavin McKenna on this team will help, but like Hage is going to help this team a lot from the World Juniors. I thought it was only right that he would be invited this year, and obviously he's making the most of this opportunity again right now. And exactly like what we see at Michigan, like him becoming the guy, kind of like the difference maker, I think in all of this is really so huge. And the reason for him being that difference maker again, Josh, is we know the skill that Michael Hage has. It's really apparent for him. He loves to own that puck in the offensive zone, be extremely dynamic there. But the big thing is like, especially in interviews, he keeps mentioning himself like that he wants to bring that intensity to the game. And again, like right from the bat. So it's like when you can really combine that skill as well as that, like that intensity, that wherewithal to really just do whatever needs to be done out on the ice, it's really just getting me that much more excited for Hage, which, Josh, like, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I think Hage will play a game next year with the Montreal Canadiens. I think he's going to be ready at the end of the NCAA. Once his collegiate career is done, I think he's going to get called up and get a chance to play a couple games like Demidov did last year, like Hutson did the before. And just really, again, it's just going to speak how we keep reinvigorizing our team with just these amazing prospects and getting them that opportunity, that experience to have them take that big leap that next year.
I like that bold take because, like, again, the center situation is not super clear as we head into, like, the end of next year, right? Again, it could be Joe Veleno, it could be Owen Beck, it could be Oliver Kapanen on that fourth line. Maybe it's Jake Evans. Maybe we trade for someone. Maybe Newhook goes back to center. But, that picture is just going to get clearer as the year goes on. And if there's a kind of, hey, our fourth line center is doing solid, but, like, we're not super sure, there's a world where that could happen, especially heading into the playoffs. I mean, we've seen a guy like Caufield come in the end of a season and make an impact in the playoffs. Who knows? If Michael Hage has a dominant year, he might have to force himself. But what do you guys think? Hage has been impressive so far. Last year at Michigan, hopefully this year at Michigan. At least I want for him down below because he is, honestly, like, I'm super excited. He's one of the most exciting Habs prospects out there for sure. But the final thing we got to get into, Jesse, is, again, something back on the team right now. And again, if I show these lines again, we talked a lot about the deep pairings because obviously with the Jayden Struble signing, we've discussed that and like how Struble and Reinbacher and how this is going to shape out. But the one conclusion that we have said, that pretty much everyone has said, it's obvious just looking at it, someone's got to move. And Eric Engels on the Sick podcast just recently had a very interesting quote about it. And he said, between those three guys, Matheson, Struble, and Xhekaj, there's a good chance that between now and this time next year, one of those guys is not here. And it's something that we figured, but Eric Engels, hey, look, he's tuned in. He knows what he's doing. He's a Habs insider, and he has this information. I think it's absolutely the right take because it's tough. It's so obvious to say, hey, Mike Matheson makes the most sense to trade because he is on an expiring deal, though to be fair, so is Xhekaj, but I think he's an RFA at the end of it anyway. Whatever. Matheson's got the bigger cap hit. Matheson is the guy that maybe doesn't fit that third pairing role as much, so naturally he's the guy fans are clinging on to. But again, the fact that those three guys are named, it's not just, I think someone like a Matheson will be moved. Xhekaj and Struble are right in this conversation too, Jesse, and I think it just shows you that it's more intense than we thought coming into training camp and coming into the first couple months of the season. Like, these guys are quite literally going to fight for, not for their career, it's not like they won't get a chance somewhere else, but to show that they're worth staying in this organization. And we've seen, I think a lot of people want to stick around. We have one of the best organizations right now in the NHL in terms of team culture, coaching, the players' camaraderie, all this stuff. I think these guys want to stick around, but there's not enough room for all of them. What do you make of this? I mean, I still think Matheson's the most likely to be moved, but I find it interesting that those other two guys are looped in there as well.
I find that this situation is even more pressing than what Eric Engels, because he's saying that we need that a year from now, like next year, that we're not going to have. I'm talking about this season and this year coming up, because as we've mentioned here on the show, like, we got 4 guys now battling basically for one spot that's in contention. 2 of those guys are for sure NHLers in Struble and Xhekaj, and another one is a very highly touted prospect in Reinbach. You know he's going to get his. as well as Engstrom, which is he's just showing all signs that he's going to be ready for the NHL like any day now, not next year, like this season. Like these players, again, we're going to need to figure it out because the way we have it right now is like either like, and the way that the NHL has kind of structured out, they're saying that Struble is actually going to be the guy that takes the last spot. Judging from Martin St. Louis and what went into the playoffs, not a bad take.
Yeah.
You have to feel like Xhekaj is probably a close second there, but you have to feel like as it is right now, Xhekaj, Reinbacher, Engstrom just not getting any ice time whatsoever. And that's also maybe having a Matheson like on your third pairing, as you know, we mentioned even in our live yesterday here, which is just a lot of money to be paying on your third, but like, let's have this as an exercise.
Sure.
Like, you know, I think it's important, like a process of elimination here is like the thing about Struble, just signed that 2-year deal, not guaranteeing he's going to be around. It's crowded. He knows that. But the analytics with Hutson are very good. I think that matters. I don't know. The size is great. I don't know if he's ideal because Hudson's a first pairing guy. So like, even though Struble's numbers are good with him, that doesn't for sure just guarantee a spot because he's not a first pairing type of guy. Secondly, then you have Xhekaj. I think that he's a little bit safer than Matheson because I think that he just plays a role that nobody else does on this team. Where Matheson, I think, you know, potentially could slot into that third pairing. If not, you're having a first pairing in my mind of like Guhle and Dobson together of like Matheson, Hutson. And for me, that's just like way too much offense in a first pairing on like that I would have out on the ice. Quite a bit there. So again, with Math, I feel like there's just a little bit of overlap. But at the same time, Josh, it also, he gives us the most ammunition and kind of goodwill to get a good player in exchange that we would need for a 2C that has the most trade value coming back. So I think it's for kind of a couple reasons here that I think probably a Matheson trade is the most likely out of this. And I would potentially put that to a lot earlier than a lot of people expect. Some people are saying like, oh, don't trade Matheson. It's a very young decor. It's like, Guhle's getting older now. We got Carrier that can kind of take on that spot. Dobson's 25. Like he's like our decor isn't that old. I think that we can still do what needs to be done without Matheson at this point. And again, we're not trying to, you know, throw shade. Like we know he's an amazing athlete, great player, but just the fit right now, Josh, like we're trying to wrap our minds around like these pairings. And like with Matheson in, it's just kind of like a round, you know, kind of like a square peg in a round hole right now.
Yeah, and I want to go to one specific thing that you said there that I think just probably makes this the most likely is like, in terms of the long-term vision of this team, like I think Matheson, if you have him on the third pairing, he's going to be one of the best third pairing defensemen in hockey, which is great, obviously, and he can probably make an impact down there. But in terms of the long-term future of this team, having a guy with Xhekaj's role is important, but I think the fact that Matheson holds, I would say, by far the most trade value of those three, especially this season on an expiring deal, you know, especially if he can like negotiate that he would extend with that team, that to me is what makes this even more likely. Because like you said, trading for another forward is a priority for us right now, and there are teams that maybe aren't even in the trade market talks yet that would want a guy like Matheson who can you can eat 25 minutes a night, can play your PK, can play your PP, especially if you have him like half retained at the deadline. You're retaining $2.5 million, and he's going to cost you less than $2.5 million for a guy that can play the most on your team on defense if you need him to. So it's like, I think that alone has so much value that it could go into a kind of trade. And that's just the simple reason. It's just simple math. Not that I don't necessarily want him next year. I know a lot of you guys don't, but like, at the end of the day, Xhekaj, yeah, teams have offered first for him, and we've said no. I don't think you're going to get much more than that for a guy that's not even guaranteed that third pairing spot. Struble, similar thing there, right? Matheson has more trade value. His play style is a little more redundant with this current decor. You know, it just makes sense. But the front office loves him, and we'd love to hear your thoughts on this. I mean, to hear what Eric Engels had to say there, I mean, look, something's coming. It's coming soon, and we're just going to have to wait and see. But listen, that'll do it for this episode of Habs Digest. Leave your comments down below on which one of these three you think is the most likely to get moved and when. We'd love to hear from you. And hey, if you enjoyed this video, leave a like, comment, but most importantly, subscribe to the channel. You guys have been killing it with the likes, the subscriptions. Thank you so much for tuning in every single day. I'm Josh Gosse, my co-host, Jesse Poirier. We'll catch you in the next one.